Why do we find ourselves stuck in patterns that ultimately get in the way of our mental health and undermine our ability to truly thrive and flourish in life? Why do we do the same things over and over and over and expect different results, as though if we just push a little bit harder or work a little bit longer, things will magically turn out differently than every other time we've tried in the past? Well, the world's meditative traditions have sought to answer these questions and to find practical ways that we can use meditation and other practices to train and transform the mind, to find insight into how it works so we can learn to suffer less and flourish more. In this particular series, I'm going to be in dialogue with two remarkable individuals. I will be meeting with Dr. Richard Davidson, one of the world's leading neuroscientists, and Mingyur Rinpoche, one of the greatest meditation teachers on the planet today. And together, we are going to explore these human questions. The question of how and why we suffer, and how we can train the mind through meditation. The framework that we are going to be using as the basis for our own journey here is a very classical Buddhist idea known as the klesha. A klesha is essentially a mental or emotional state that gets in the way of our ability to flourish. In Buddhist terms, we often talk about the kleshas of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. These are sometimes referred to as the three poisons that create and perpetuate cycles of suffering. Here in this series, we're going to talk about modern versions of these ancient problems, what we call the modern kleshas. We're going to begin our discussion with an exploration of the chronic levels of distraction that we experience in the modern world. Second, we're going to talk about emotional imbalance and how challenges like depression, anxiety, the toxic levels of loneliness that so many people experience can be trained and transformed through meditation. Third, we are going to talk about addiction and how we can get stuck in unhealthy and habitual ways of seeking pleasure and avoiding suffering. And finally, we're going to discuss the modern klesha of isolation and division. This sometimes can play out as political division and political animosity, or even the challenging relationship that we have with our physical environment and the problem of climate change and eco-anxiety. We'll explore these modern kleshas from the point of view of scientific research, for example, learning about the latest findings from the Center for Healthy Minds, the work we're doing here at UW-Madison, as well as from the point of view of the ancient wisdom teachings of Tibet. Specifically, we are going to learn about a core principle that shows that we all have innate capacities that will help us to thrive and flourish even when we are facing challenges in life. As the title for this series reflects, we in some respects are born to flourish. These are innate capacities that are even hardwired into our brains and our biology. So we'll learn both what scientific research has to say on this topic and also meditative traditions like Tibetan Buddhism. But most importantly, we will learn practical strategies to actually get in touch with these capacities, to nurture and to cultivate them in the midst of our busy daily lives. We're also going to learn about a very important ancient framework from the Buddhist teachings that lays out 3 different strategies for dealing with challenging mental and emotional states. These 3 are abandoning, transforming, and recognizing the nature of difficult emotions. In the first strategy, we essentially learn to create an antidote to unwholesome toxic mental states. So if we experience anger, for example, we might generate kindness or compassion as a way to counteract the toxic effect of that emotion. In the second approach, we don't try to eliminate the difficult emotion, but rather we transform it from within. And in the third, we don't even try to transform it. We open up to the experience as it is, and we learn to gain insight into its true nature. And through that wisdom and insight that develops, it completely changes our experience of what otherwise would be toxic mental and emotional states. This is a truly unique opportunity to explore these topics deeply with Dr. Richard Davidson and Mingyur Rinpoche, along with participants for all over the world. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. I think you'll find this to be an incredibly enriching journey together. Take care.